I can tell you most of the answers are going to be yes, because most of the time, all of us have done something in our lives that we knew we shouldn't have, but and it wasn't right for us, but we did it anyway. Okay, so we're going to get to that. We're going to cover that in tonight's session. And there's a couple of things that we have to go through concerning what is right for you and what is not right for you. It's a very difficult question to ask. Okay. But those of you that don't know me, I work with people in my private practice one-on-one sessions as well. And I help them by empowering them through their own value systems and own thoughts and through mental processes. And these mental processes are especially hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, counseling, all the stuff that I found useful and that works with the clients. Okay. So these sessions are usually something that comes up in my practice during the month, and I discuss it once a month on the Wednesday wisdom groups. And yes, the big one was, how do I know what's right for me? How do you know if you're making the right decision? Are there any right and wrong decisions? Okay, we'll get to all those things because that's going to be interesting to just cover them. All right. Ah, bit of bugs in the house. Okay, I think everybody's in. Let me just double check. I don't think anybody else is going to join. If they join, I'll just let them in. Let me just close this. Okay. So most of you answered yes. There has been times in your life where you knew you shouldn't do something, but you did it in any case. Okay. Have you ever asked yourself why? Because a lot of people do that. And a lot of people get stuck in this frame of reference where they just keep on doing things that they know they shouldn't do. The basic answer that you can assist yourself with is check what your value systems are when you make a decision. Because most of the time, if you go against something that you think is not good for you, but you do it in any case, your value systems and your boundaries are not set up correctly. And very few of us do that. We don't set up boundaries and we don't live according to our highest values because we don't get taught what they are. If you have to ask yourself what your highest values are, probably most of you won't be able to answer. And that is a bit of a problem because if you don't know what your highest values are, then you're going to keep on making decisions that hurt you, making decisions that's not good for you. And you're going to keep on, it's almost like you're bumping your head against the wall the whole time. Now, as usual, we are creatures who like stories. If anything has to make sense, we like it in the framework of a story. And to explain it, the right and wrong conundrum, I don't know if you guys ever heard the story of the two people that went traveling, the father and his son, from their village to the sea. And from the village to the sea, there were a couple of villages that they had to pass through. So as they were walking, they had a horse by the reins. And they walked with this horse. And when they arrived at the first village, the people looked at them and they said they're quite silly. Because why is the father and son not using the horse? Why is someone not riding the horse? So the father and the son decided, okay, maybe the father should go on the horse to the next village. And so the father was on the horse. When they got to the next village, again, people reprimanded them and said they're stupid. They reprimanded the son and say, or they reprimanded the dad and say, how can you let your son walk? Don't you have respect for your child? Don't you love your child? So the father and son switched. The son climbed on the horse and they went to the next village. When they reached the next village, there was another problem. They reprimanded the son, say, how can you not respect your father like this? Your father had to walk all the way and you're riding the horse. So the father and the son decided, what the hell, they're going to both climb on the horse and carry on with their journey. When they reached the final village, both of them on the horse, the people were very upset. And they asked them, how can you abuse a horse this much? Why do you overload it? And then they both climbed off and walked with the horse on the reins again to their journey. Now, this story is typical. It's a very, very typical situation, and the decisions that we make in the right or wrongs that we associate with those decisions, because no matter what decisions you're going to make in someone else's frame of reference and according to someone else's value system, that's going to be wrong. Now, the problem comes in if you make a decision that goes against your own values. That's terrible. That's not something you would like to do. That's something that you would like to avoid. Okay. So if we go according to our own value systems and we make the wrong decisions, we're never going to find out what is wrong or right for us if we don't make those decisions. So if you've made a decision in the past that came back to haunt you, or a decision that you made recently that comes back to haunt you, there is no such thing on the subconscious level as right or wrong decisions. It is a very weird scenario, but the right or wrong doesn't exist there. And when I work with my clients, I see this a lot. There is no right or wrong. There's only opportunity and feedback to grow from whatever it is you chose. Okay, so nobody on this planet, I've seen a lot of people, I've worked with a lot of people, I've seen people from different demographics, from the high end to the low end, and from different sexes, castes, creeds. It is amazing that on a subconscious level, that right or wrong decision doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And nobody, not one of those people, can 100% tell me that the decision that they ever made is right. Even if they felt at the time that there was a decision that they made that was 100% right, afterwards there's still doubt. So where does doubt come in? If you're absolutely sure of something, if you're absolutely sure you know have to do something, and you have to make a choice, you have to choose what is right for you, where do you think that choice comes from? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Does that choice not come from confusion? It is interesting because we think we have all these choices and we think we're so free. And it's nice because especially in today's day and age, we've got all these different things that we choose. But if you look at universal laws and universal truths, they have not changed at all. from the beginning of our existence up to now, the universal laws stay the same. Let me give you an example. If you have a 100,000 Rand watch or a 10 Rand watch, they both tell the time. That's the basic function of the watch. Whether you drive a 3 million Rand car or a 20,000 Rand car, that car's purpose is to take you from point A to point B. If you fly in a plane, you fly business class, first class, if you fly in the baggage compartment, all of the people are on the same plane and they're flying to a destination. Those are the types of universal truths that you need to look for. What equilibrates our existence? It's funny when we think about it that way, because then your choices aren't really choices. They are just confused things that you don't know what to do with. Now, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to yourself, how do you know what the right thing is to do? Well, if you can read and write, and if you can use power of deduction, logic, then you've got a good advantage, because you can ask yourself, okay, what is going to be the best possible outcome for this decision? What's going to be the worst outcome for this decision? Because you can't do that with yourself. Most of you that's on here, I'm sure you can do that with yourself because you've got the ability to log onto an electronic equipment, to type, to read, to write, to listen. So then you go, okay, what's the best possible outcome? What's the worst possible outcome? Once you have that, and you still want to make the decision, you're still unsure, then there must be something else. Then there must be fear attached. Okay, because if you have all the information at your disposal, you still can't make a decision. Then what's the fear? Is it possibly a fear of judgment? Is it possibly a fear of failure? Is it possibly a fear of rejection? Because if you have to make a decision, what is that? What is that that's holding you back? We all know people, or you've all seen, or you might have experienced yourself, when there's an absolute decision that you make, and you're absolutely certain about it, there's no need to make a choice. There's no hesitation. There's no what ifs. Okay, and usually when that happens, most of the time, is when your life gets threatened or there's a life-threatening situation. People react differently. There's no time to think. Okay, so when there's a life-threatening situation or traumatic event, there's no time to think. You don't choose. You react, right? Now, if we go over to life, same thing. If there's absolutely something that you know you should do, and you don't do it, then you must ask yourself, okay, what's the fear? Why don't I want to move into this relationship? Why don't I want to move out of this relationship? Why don't I want to get into a new house? Why don't I want to change my job? What is the right thing for me? There's no right or wrong thing. There's only you and your growth opportunity to learn from the lessons that you've done and from the things that you chose. And if you expand a bit bigger, if you move bigger into the universe, if you expand your mind, you ask yourself questions that's a bit larger than yourself and your current circumstances, then by all means, your mind's going to go, okay, but there's no right or wrong. 8 billion people on this planet. We all think we know what's right and wrong. We don't get caught up in it. There's a great writer, poet, Rumi. I don't know if you guys have heard of Rumi, R-U-M-I. But he's got a great quote that says, beyond the field of right doing and wrong, or beyond right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I will meet you there. Now, if you delve a bit deeper into human behavior specialists and people who work with people in the subconscious mind, and people who actually help people with mental health and well-being, all of them get to a point where they acknowledge the right and wrong does not exist. Right and wrong doesn't exist in that realm. So why are we getting stuck in it? Why are we getting stuck in this right and wrong, push and pull, should or shouldn't? Again, one of the best explanations I found is, what are your own values? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Sadhguru and if you follow his things, but he had an interesting thing in one of his books that he said there was an Indian tribe. I can't remember what their name was because it's the pronunciation I'm not even going to try. But this tribe, ever since the form of their existence, they've had as their culture, it's so right to rob, steal, and kill people. For them, it was a way of life. That's what they did all the time. So the next generation would pursue it, the next generation would pursue it. For them, it was natural. If you went close to that village, or you were somewhere around there, they would rob. If they have a bit of resistance, they would kill you. For them, it was not unnatural. That's how they grew up. For them, it's totally normal to do that. And then we go, yes, but how the hell do they know that? How the hell don't they know that they're human? How can you do that to possibly do that to another human being? And I was like, growth, value systems, and authority figures. So a good question for you would be to ask, who was the authority figure that taught me about right and wrong? Who is that? Who teaches us about right and wrong? Is it your parents? Is it society at large? Is it religion? Who taught you about right and wrong? And then you go try and find out, okay, but what are their sources? Why would they want to teach you about right and wrong? If right and wrong doesn't exist at a certain realm in your internal world, why are we getting hammered for it? So very interesting question. Okay. Now, one of the rules of the mind. I'm actually going to be covering the rules of the mind next week in a full-on webinar, but this is one of them. If you hold two opposing ideas in your mind, it cannot exist there without causing stress. So let's take a practical example. If you have a black square and you imagine a black square, you can do that. If you have a white square, you can imagine the white square. Now, if you try in your mind to put the black and white square in the same spot, what happens? Some people say, oh, I get gray. Some people say, oh, no, it's not possible. Some people go, okay, I don't even know how to visualize the square. But your mind cannot hold onto the two thoughts in the same space, especially the two opposing thoughts. Now, on a personal level, that causes a huge amount of stress for most people because what they say and what they do are two different things. Those are two opposing things that happen in the brain. Like, even if it's small, no, I will phone you tomorrow, but you don't phone the person. Okay, we can go drink coffee Friday, but you don't do it. Those are opposing thoughts. On a grander level, on a deeper level, say you're a parent and you've got children that you want to teach honesty, respect, you want to teach them all the nice moralities that exist on this planet, but then you go out and your job requires you to lie, to cheat, and to just extort people. So you go work, you come back home, you try and teach something that you're not living. That's terrible. Those are two opposing thoughts. What's going to happen to your body? Your body's going to have a lot of stress. So when that happens, you sit back and you go, okay, which opposing thoughts am I not living out? Or which opposing thoughts am I not understanding? What am I doing that goes against my words? What am I saying that goes against my actions? And a very simple recipe, I always repeat this one. This one is very simple. Do what you say and say what you do. Easier said than done, because we can talk a lot. We've been given the gift of communication, of memory, of imagination. That memory and imagination can filter through the brains, come through our mouths, and we can talk a lot. Okay, especially if you're excited and if you have a busy day, then you share with people and you talk. Now they're talking. Rather say less and do more than do less and say more. Okay, it's very important for how you can assist yourself with what the right decision for you is. Now, if you've ever felt that you shouldn't do something, how do you feel it? Do you feel it in your head? Is it a sixth sense? Does your body go numb? You get tingling in your hands? Because you can only make sense out of this realization or this thing that we're living in with the senses and with your body. There's no other way. So how do you know if something's not right for you? What does your body tell you? Now, what's interesting, I don't know if guys know about kinesiology and the test, the muscle testing that they do, and the test that's been done with that. There's a brilliant book called Power versus Force with a 20-year research into kinesiology. And one of the basic truths that came out of that is your body knows. Your body knows things that your mind doesn't even comprehend yet. So one example, one exercise that they did, experiment, I mean, was to take two white envelopes in a crowd of, I think, about 600 people. One envelope contained vitamin C. The other envelope contained poison. Okay. And every person that held the vitamin C against their chest without knowing if it was vitamin C or not, their muscles tested stronger. Every person that held the poison against their chest, their muscles tested weaker. Now, how the hell is that possible? How does your body know what's in an envelope that your brain doesn't even know? That goes into the realm of sixth sense, this thing that we call a sixth sense, that you just know without knowing. And ironically enough, females have it better than males. They have a better sixth sense when it comes to these things, because the guys don't really think about things that deeply, and they don't go deeper into stuff. But if you have a sixth sense for these things, shouldn't you build a relationship with your body, know what it feels like, know what it feels like in certain situations, when it gets into contact with certain people, when it walks into certain buildings, when it eats certain foods, when you drink certain liquids? If you understand what effect that has on your body, that's always also a big jump to decide what is right or wrong for you. Because there's no right or wrong for anybody, it's just right or wrong for you. And if you have your value systems aligned and you can understand how to work with them, then you can have your own journey. One of the most amazing people I've ever followed or researched about is J. Krishnamurti. Now, Krishnamurti was supposed to be the Theosophic Society's world leader or world healer. And the Theosophic Society, or Theosophical Society, was this religion type society. And they groomed Krishnamurti from when he was younger because he had a lot of potential. He was clever. He understood all the alternative stuff and healings. And they groomed him, different religions, different wisdoms, to become a world teacher and a world leader. And I think he was about late 20s when he kicked all of that out. He just ignored it. He said, no, this is nonsense. So the whole organization collapsed because the golden boy decided, no, he's going to go and he's going to do his own thing. And he was a huge proponent of learning from yourself. Because when you were created with a lot of skill sets, with a lot of things that you work with in your body, okay, so your senses, and you were created with a unique design. If you take 8 billion people on this planet, fingerprints are different, irises different, ear shapes different. That's phenomenal. So he was a big proponent of learning what goes on in your own emotions. Let your body and your emotions be your teacher, and then grow from there. But very few of us do that. For me, especially in my culture, I mean, I'm actually Afrikaans, there was a big proponent of religion has to make your decisions. Die dominee sê, die doctor sê. It's like all these external authorities that had to make decisions of our life, over our lives. And I was like, wow, what a different road it is to travel when you start going according to life through your own experiences. Knowing how certain things make you feel. Are they good for you? If they weren't good for you, how can you grow and learn from the stuff that you did wrong? And I put wrong because there's no wrong on the subconscious level. There is only lessons and growth. Okay, so if you're ever stuck with a decision and a heavy life choice that you have to make, take your time, first of all, because if it's not a life or death situation, you've got time. And see what the best outcome of this can be if you make the decision, and what the worst outcome of this will be if you make the decision. That'll make it a bit better. Once you have all the information pertaining to that, because you cannot have information that you don't have. You can try and search for it, and try and expand, but it doesn't work. It only works up to a certain level. So if you don't have all the information, but you've got certain information, then you must stick to the decision that you make. Even if that decision hits you hard, You must be resilient enough in your internal realm to handle decisions that hit you hard afterwards. And that is actually what amazes me about the subconscious realm and about the rules of the mind and how you use it. Because if you understand those things, you become way more resilient to life's knocks. But if you don't understand those things, it's a rough road. I see people all the time, they don't realize that they've got an internal power, that they've got an internal communication system that they can use with their imagination, aligned with their own value systems, and that gives them a foundation from which to work. Then they say, yes, I get stuck. Then can you erase my memory? I want to forget about this person. Oh, I'm still carry guilt because I made this decision. Oh, how do I know if I'm going into the right job, into the right relationship, into the right company? There's so many rights. Now take a step back. If you are this, there's no doubt about it. We are connected to a bigger energy. What that is for you is totally different from what that is to me. What that is for a Christian is totally different from what that is to a Hindu. But we then go back to the universal truths, like the watch telling the time, the plane that you're in, different compartments or different classes that you go, first class, it's the same plane. When you look at all those things, it's the same type of energy that sustains you. It's the same type of energy that's all around us. If you step back and move into that energy, then right or wrong, it's not that bad. And then you ask yourself, okay, in the whole grand scheme of things, if I don't know if this is the right person, if I don't know if this is the right action, if I don't know if this is the right company, what's going to make me, or what am I afraid of for taking the step into this decision? If I'm connected to this energy around me, and if I'm a part of this bigger universe, why is there fear associated with it? Let me do this then. And if you absolutely cannot make a decision, leave it. Walk away. Don't have to make a decision. Okay, unless it's a life-threatening or a life-changing decision. So many people get caught in the trap of I must, and I should, and must, should, could. Okay. If you have to talk about to yourself like this, it's so amazing. One of my clients actually said, no, yes, it was just this family was nice, and her partner was nice, and the family said they should get together, so she did, and then she should have gotten married, and they did, and there were all these shoots that went with her life decisions. And I thought, ouch, no wonder she's in the predicament she's in. Because if you go shoot, I must, that is immediately an indication of you going against your value system. If you really want to do something, you're not going to say, okay, for me, you don't have to invite me twice if I have to say, okay, I should maybe have a piece of chocolate. Okay. It's not like, I love chocolate, so why the hell should I have a piece of chocolate? That'll never be in my vocabulary. So if there's something that you really like to do, should not be in your vocabulary. If you talk like that, then you must go take a step back and say, okay, but wait a minute, is this really what I want? Does this actually enhance my own growth experience or not? Coming back to the bigger energy realm of things, if there's an inclusivity, if you include people in your choices, it's very important that both you and the people you include in your choice can grow out of a situation. That's also a nice way to understand if you're doing something that will hinder your growth or promote your growth. So if you include a lot of people in your decision and you think this decision will benefit all of them, very difficult to go wrong there. Okay, no matter what they say. Okay, because people, as we saw with the story on the people with the horse, and the father and the son, they're always going to judge. They're always going to find something wrong with whatever it is you do. Always. You'll be amazed at the responses I sometimes get on my adverts doing what I do for a living. Okay. And in the past, many years ago, I always tried to defend it. And I always gave succinct answers and research of this is what happens with the brain in hypnosis. This is what it is. This is not a religious thing. I've worked with so many religions, even people who's not religious at all. And in the past, I would go and defend that. And then I decided, no, you know what? Why? Why am I doing this? I don't have to defend this. I don't have to defend what I'm doing. That's the perception and the opinion of a minority group of people. The people who actually read and understand and actually want to go deep into life, they've never had any bad comments on my adverts. They actually know what it's about. And then it became a way more peaceful journey. So if there's something in your life where you feel judged, if there's something in your life where you feel drains your energy, step away from it. Don't defend it. Don't even go and defend your actions. If your actions are right for you, do them. Okay. One weird thing before we finish off for tonight, because I see time is running out. If you ever have to grieve, if you have to ever express your happiness, if you have to ever express your peace, and it differs from somebody else's value systems, and you change that according to their value systems, you are committing suicide. Okay, it sounds a bit harsh, but that's what you're doing. So if you grieve for 10 years, by all means do that, if that serves you, and if that's your journey. If you grieve for 3 months, by all means do that. People are going to judge anyway, but just make sure that is your true, authentic self experiencing your grief, your happiness, your anger. Then it's, by all means, it's a different ball game to walk on this planet. It becomes very entertaining. Then people might think you're a bit nuts, but that's also okay, because we all have to be a little bit nuts. It's a survival tactic in today's life and today's day and age. Alrighty. Half an hour is how I usually try and keep these things going. So I see we're almost out of time. So if you have any questions, post them. If you need to understand something or need to have clarity over something, any questions are welcome. If you want to ask questions, type in the chat box. I'll give a minute or two. And while you type in the chat box, or while you have questions, yes or no, afterwards on the group, I will always send, I'll edit the video. It might take a day or two, but I'll send the link of this video on the group, and it'll be in the group description, so you can watch it again if you've missed anything. Okay, and if you have any questions that you do not want to ask on this session, you're welcome to ask me privately in the WhatsApp group. Letitia, question?
No, thanks.
Hello? Looks like either Letitia is working or I'm not working. I can't hear you. Maybe if your mic's not working, you can actually chat. Ask in the chat as well. Okay. Letitia, can you hear me? No, yes. No. Don't know what's wrong with the sound. But anyway, if there are no questions, I hope you guys have a good evening. I hope you go judge, or not judge, just go observe what is right and wrong for you, and how your body reacts to it is the first step. Make sure that you actually have all the information at your disposal before you make a decision. If it's not a life-threatening decision, you've got time. And that will help a lot with knowing what's right or wrong for you. And then if you can move beyond the realm of right doing and wrong doing, life will have a very, very different meaning for you. And you'll find way more peace out there than into people's values and arguments and all those things that they get busy with. Okay. So I hope it made sense. I hope you had some other awakening from the session. And then, as usual, I'll edit the recording and then put it on the group. And thank you for joining me, guys. I hope you have a great evening and a peaceful evening. All right. Thank you very much. Good night.